when I talk to couples about it, I say start at whoever's the least comfortable, start there. If you just need to write down some things and share with each other and pray silently together, great. You're praying for the same things, and I believe you'll see God act. So I think it's just find a starting place that works. And it's not like you're trying to climb this ladder. Okay, we're praying silently. Now we're going to pray out loud. Now we're going to play vulnerable. Now, it's really just the idea of coming together before God, because He wants us to.
This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 113, and we are really excited today because we have a very special guest back, I would say in the studio, but virtually in the studio. And this guest has been an unofficial mentor of yours, Ryan, for many years before he ever came on the podcast. And now I think it's been over a year, and we're so excited to welcome back Dr. Kimberling, founder of the Awesome Marriage website, Instagram channel, and resource for married couples. Welcome back to our show, Dr. Kim.
Thank you. It's so good to be back and to see you guys. I love what you guys do and your passion for marriage too. It excites me when churches are passionate about marriage, because I think that's where it should start.
Dr. Kim, I think when you and your wife Nancy were on the show last, you were celebrating an anniversary. Is your anniversary, is it around January?
It is. It's January 2nd.
Okay.
Really good.
I remembered because, and this is fun, so we originally had this show scheduled to air on 11/11, which is our anniversary. Now it's getting bumped. We had a special episode we kind of worked into the mix, but I just thought, that's really fun that we got to celebrate your anniversary with you two, and now you're back, and it's our 14th anniversary. So
wow, congratulations to you guys. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
We're working on getting to the number that you and Nancy are at, and 1 year at a time. So
it is.
Dr. Kim, would you just tell our listeners about you, maybe how long you and Nancy have been married, and the resource that you have and what you provide?
Yeah, Nancy and I met a long time ago at Texas Christian University, blind date. She was a freshman, I was a junior, and we dated in 2 years. And at that time, that summer after I graduated, I proposed, and we got married that following January. Mainly because I did not want her going back to TCU without a ring on. I knew those guys that I left, and there was no way I was sending her back into that whatever without a ring on her finger. So, we have 2 kids, and we have they're married. We have great son-in-law, great daughter-in-law. We have 5 great grandkids that are great, and we have 1 great-grandchild.
Wow.
Get all that in. So, God's blessed us. All our family lives together close in Oklahoma City, and so we get to see each other a lot, which has been a real blessing, being involved in our grandkids' lives and watching them grow up, and just seeing God do amazing things in their lives. It's such a blessing to have been able to do that.
Awesome. And how many years have you been married then?
We've been married 55 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so January will be 56. We got married in 70s, so I figured that was a good move, because then from 70, I could always figure out how many years we've been married.
Around number. We were 11, so very easy for both of us as well. Very, just kind of sticks in your brain. I think what is really special for our listeners is that that's 55 years of wisdom that you bring to our episode. So we're excited. Will you talk a little bit about Awesome Marriage and that resource?
Awesome Marriage has been around now since 2010. We started out as a Facebook page back when you could do all kinds of things with Facebook before they started making us do all these algorithms and other things. But it kind of grew from there, and God continued to bring some people to us to help us. And now we have a YouTube channel. We have Awesome Marriage University, which has courses in it for couples. We have our website, awesomemarriage.com. We have a lot of resources. Some are free, and some are just donation of whatever someone would give. Someone wants to give $1, that's great. We just want to get things in people's hands. YouVersion plans, we have over 100 YouVersion plans.
Wow.
That has connected with us with so many people that have found us that way, which is really cool, because they're already seeking God's Word and in God's Word. And so I think that kind of puts people little bit ahead, because that's one of the things we really encourage them to do, is to get in God's Word together. So Awesome Marriage, we have a team of 5 people. We're a small team. We're pretty lean, but my team's amazing. They're efficient. They do all kinds of good things. So really, awesomemarriage.com, you can find about everything that we have. We're on all the social media, focus more on Instagram than anything, but we'll do a little TikTok, and we still do some stuff on Facebook. And we just really, our goal is to be where people are. And so we kind of the church we're at, and we kind of adopted their deal of we'll do anything short of sin to tell people that God's plan for marriage. So and God's opened a lot of doors for us. YouVersion, we just launched 10 YouVersion plans in German.
Wow.
We are partnering with a church in Germany. They're doing the translating for us, thank goodness. And so we have that, and we have a lot of Spanish. So we're trying to, to get to people, and I'd love to get more languages as this continues to grow too, so people can have our resources in their own languages.
Awesome. Very cool. I know we both get your emails, and I follow along on Instagram and really enjoy that too. I see,
Thanks.
I'll be scrolling and see you and Nancy dancing, or, something, just kind of a thought-provoking comment or quote, and just things like that really are great, and a lot of resources too, like you said. So
thank you.
Yeah,
we try to let people see to the serious about things married, but we want to see the fun part too.
Yeah.
Because that's been such an important part of our marriage. So they've made me do a few funny things, but I'll do it.
Well, Dr. Kim, that's the YouVersion is how I first found you guys, and I love the plans, and I've done several of them, the Bible plans. So and as Michelle said, thank you to this awesome marriage ministry. It's had a tremendous impact on me and on our marriage as well. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you guys are doing.
It's always good to hear. That's why we're here. And so it's always nice to find people that we've helped in the fall of the, I think Michelle mentioned the One Thing email, which goes out 5 days a week. And I think we're around 120 or 30,000 couples that get that every day.
Wow.
And so our main thing we want to do is help people be intentional about their marriage. So everything we do is try to find some niche that somebody's going to pick up and say, oh yeah, I love those emails, or I like watching the YouTube, or I love watching Instagram. Anything that we can do to try to get something to people so they'll think about their marriage every day. Because if you do, it does make a difference, especially as long as it's positive. You don't want to do negative things, right?
Yeah, it's that intentional step forward. That intentional step every day, and that's what I love. It's one thing, right? It's not the big, all of these things. It's hey, I can do this one thing today, and that's what I love.
Brian, I think we've had more men that have told me that they love the one thing, because I think there's a lot of us as guys that really do want to do something good for our marriage or to try to grow it, and we have no clue where to go. And we've tried to make the one thing, even now we have it gender specific for men and women, different on most of them. And so make it easy, make it something that you can do, and then you can think, well, I've done something good for my marriage today. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dr. Kim, I thought maybe we'd go to the beginning here as we're talking about awesome marriage. Maybe give us some insight here. Was your marriage always awesome, or is this something that maybe share with us a little bit about what this journey's looked like for you?
No, it was not awesome. I think all the way up until after our honeymoon, I thought it was going to be awesome for 50 years, and then we started living together. And you just learn about somebody when you're living together, things you don't know. She didn't know that I used a clean towel every day. That was something that never entered her mind. Well, that's the way I grew up.
It's a lot of laundry.
You use a towel and you drop it on the floor and your mom picks it up. And so that was just kind of the first thing where she shook her head at me. And the little things. But then I think the fact of I think we knew each other pretty well, but not until we were living together, we didn't realize some of the differences really that had attracted us. All of a sudden now we're like, I don't like that as well. I love that she was independent. Loved that she was independent. We got in marriage and I didn't want her to be that independent. I wanted her to listen to me some more. And so we kept finding these, and we fought that for a long time. So we'd have, the first 6, 7 years of marriage, there were a lot of good times, but there were times that were struggles. We didn't know how to fight well. We didn't know how to resolve conflict. So conflict was something that we would have an argument about something. We'd not talk to each other or just kind of ignore each other for a couple of days. We'd start missing each other. We'd get back together, never resolving anything. So guess what? It wasn't too long till that issue came up again, or whatever the issue was. We just didn't know how to resolve conflict. And that was huge because I think it just kind of continued to kind of chip away at our marriage. And I think it was discouraging for both of us that I didn't marry you to fight with you for 50 years or 60 years or whatever. So those were some of the hard things that we did. We found a couple things that really made a difference for us. And Brian, you kind of alluded to seeing us sometimes as mentors. Nancy, twice in her life before we got married, once before we got married, sought out a lady when we were engaged that told her that you should pray together with your spouse every day. And Nancy took that to heart completely. And so honestly, that is the one thing we have done pretty well. Probably 99% of the nights of our marriage, we prayed together. That in itself has probably made the biggest difference of anything that we've done in our marriage. Even when, there are times when you're mad at each other and you're thinking, do we have to pray tonight? But we did. Probably didn't hold hands those nights, but we did. And so I think some of those struggles that we had, trying to change differences, we started out really poor. We didn't have much money at all. I was working for my dad, but I was working on not very much, which was great. I mean, that was fine. But I think we didn't really have trouble with money until I started making a little more. Because when it was tight, I mean, we were kind of watching everything. And then when we had a little more, that's when I think we realized we needed a budget, because we were, all of a sudden, we had more, we were spending more. And we weren't saving like we needed. And we gave at that time, but we really weren't tithing at that time. And so finances was something that we had to figure out together. We never really had a problem with overspending a lot, but it was just something that we needed to get a handle on. The other thing I think that really, just taking divorce off the table was a huge thing for us. Just not using those words anymore. Not using it as a weapon, and we both used it, and that was a huge turning point for us, because we're all in. We're all in together at that point. So I think those, and then I think just in the communication part of just learning to listen, that was probably the biggest thing, is when we really figured out how to listen to each other. Because I think we fell in the trap a lot of people do. Nancy might be talking, and I'm waiting for her to quit so I can tell her what I really think, or why my way is better. So, and you start doing that, and she thinks, you didn't hear a word I say, and I didn't have an argument. I didn't hear a word she said. So we know that we can listen 5 times faster than somebody can speak. So you got to decide what you're going to do at that time. And if you're thinking about what you're going to say back, it's not going to work. You've got to focus on them, and then respond. Let them know you heard what they said. That was huge for us. We did a deal that we have at Awesome Marriage called Stop, Look, Listen. And we kind of started doing that ourselves. And then when we started Awesome Marriage, that became something that became a part of it. But it was, stop everything else you're doing. If you're trying to talk about something serious, stop what you're doing, look face to face. That's always been important for us. I get distracted. And so if I'm looking at Nancy's eyes, I don't get distracted. And so that was important. And then to listen to what they're saying and let them know you heard what they were saying. And we went through that exercise over and over till it became kind of second nature. I mean, neither one of us says now, hey, let's do stop, look, listen. That's just kind of become a habit for us, because it made a difference. And it really made a difference, our understanding each other. And what we found, when we really understood each other and listened to each other, it solved a lot of our conflicts. A lot of our conflicts were because of assumptions we were making about each other, or what each other was thinking or saying, things like that. And so when we really listened to each other, it was like, well, we're not that far apart on a lot of things, that we thought we were.
That's great. We have a saying, Dr. Kim, Brian kind of coined it, but same team is what I'm thinking of as he's talking about this. It's just a lot of times your end goal is the same. We want to get our Sunday dinner. It's just a matter of, he's warming up chicken nuggets for the 5th night in a row and I'm trying to make whatever. But our end goal is, so we might disagree because it's like, oh, you caved and those again. But our end goal is we want to nourish our son and get him to eat something, So realizing, hey, we need to talk through it because we are on the same team.
I think that's great. I had a wonderful couple I worked with years ago, and he had been a football player, professional NFL player, and that was his mantra. And they had jerseys with their team name, their name of their last names on those jerseys, and they would wear those around the house all the time. And it was just because they had just been married probably a year, blended family when I started doing that. And then they even got them for the kids so that the kids would see. But just that visual, we're on the same team, when
that's cool.
You're wearing the same jersey, it's like, it was just that constant visual, I think, that really helped them solidify what you guys are doing, being on the same team.
That's really great. I want to go back to, do you have anything to jump in with, Ryan? Or can I ask a quick question?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So you gave us a few things there that were kind of tough early on and you worked through. So prayer, figuring out a budget, listening and connecting. I want to go back to the first one. So prayer, I feel like that's such a foundational thing for couples that maybe a lot of couples aren't doing, whether they feel nervous or scared. Can you just tell us, how do you do that? How do you pray with your spouse? If a listener has never prayed with their spouse, what do they do?
Yeah, I think it is scary. And we had prayed over meals together when we dated. We had never really prayed together like we started doing in marriage. Nancy was more comfortable with it than I was. In fact, she's the one who brought it up on her honeymoon. And so I said, sure, that's what we'll do. So we started out really just saying the Lord's Prayer together. It's something we both knew. And
Our
I think
Father who art in heaven.
Yeah. And so when I talk to couples about it, I say, start at whoever's the least comfortable, start there. If you just need to write down some things and share with each other and pray silently together, great. You're praying for the same things, and I believe you'll see God act. So I think it's just find a starting place that works. What we would usually do is say the Lord's Prayer, and then we'd had a couple things that we'd talked about, so we'd pray silently about those things. And it's not like you're trying to climb this ladder. Okay, we're praying silently. Now we're going to pray out loud. Now we're going to play vulnerable. Now, it's really just the idea of coming together before God, because He wants us to. And I don't think He cares if you're kneeling or standing up or standing on your head or whatever. He just wants us to seek Him out. And so I think when someone's trying, talk about it and say, okay, what are you comfortable with? And find a starting spot. And what I see happening, honestly, is when couples start praying together, the enemy throws a lot of roadblocks in there. It's like anything that can distract you from doing that. And so you want to be consistent about it. You want to, what I tell couples, try to pray every day. If you miss one day, don't miss two. And just kind of stay on. Don't feel bad about it because you're building a habit into your marriage. And I think the more specific you can have things you're praying about to God so that you really do see Him show up, I think that builds your confidence and it builds your faith in that. And you see that God does really care for your marriage because He does. I mean, one thing that I think is so cool is there'll never be another marriage like you guys have. Nobody. You're two unique individuals. Nobody will ever have that. And so all that God has for you guys is so unique and so special just for the two of you. And I think if we can look at that way and know God's in it with us, that's a huge step forward.
I love that, Ryan. When we pray together at night, and it's really just a conversation with God and between us. So it's usually we'll be laying in bed and one of us will kind of fling our arm over and say, you pray, or do you want to all pray or whatever. And I feel like it also allows us to be really unified and on the same team before we go to bed, because it's really hard to pray with someone if you're angry at them. So it just allows you to really be vulnerable with each other and in front of God. And just knowing that there's not a right or a wrong way. It's just a conversation with your good Father.
Yeah. So. That's where I think for me that changed of like there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's about connection. It's about connecting with each other. It's about connecting to God and drawing closer together. And that's where, for me, it was a big, like, kind of like, okay, it's okay. Like, but I was so intimidated, and I was so worried about it, more so that I would get it right. And so that almost stopped me from wanting to do it, because I was so afraid I'd do it wrong.
That's an interesting one. I think I would have been in the same boat if Nancy hadn't just sprung it on me on her wedding night.
Sure.
She just said, I was sitting on the bed. She comes over and says, we need to pray. And so I didn't have any time to worry about it.
Yeah.
And so I said, what are we going to pray? And she said, how about the Lord's Prayer? One of us said that, and that got us going. So and I think we complicate it. Maybe we've heard a pastor pray, or maybe we got friends prayed, or maybe somebody's dad prayed just great prayers. Well, don't be intimidated. You are you, and God knows your heart. And so just laying things on your heart and open to God about it, for sure.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think maybe it depends on how you grew up. So I grew up with like a lot of scripted prayers. And I remember as a kid growing up every night, it was like, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that was actually kind of a scary prayer, actually. But realizing you can go, it almost feels a little bit like going rogue. I can just say whatever I want to God. Yes, you can. Just have a conversation with your good Father. And there's no right or wrong way to go about that if you're just coming with a sincere, open heart and posture of wanting to talk to your Father. You'll get it right.
I think, Michelle, it's reading some of the Psalms, I think, really help us as David. Because I think sometimes we may be upset at God and we don't tell him, and it's like we're hiding it from him, and we can't hide it from him. And so I think just learning to really share what's on your heart. When I've been upset at God or something like that, it is healing to voice that, because I felt his presence and I felt him before let me know that things are going to be okay. And so I think learning to just that God accepts everything because he knows us that well anyway.
Yeah. Dr. Kim, one last thing that you talked a little bit as we chatted before the show that you wanted to share is, can you talk about just how you shifted from trying to change each other and what you kind of realized with that?
Yeah, I think that we were just trying to, I think I had a mold for a wife and Nancy had a mold for a husband, and we spent a lot of time trying to fix each other in those molds. And so I think what God really showed us, and with the help of a counselor and some other people, is that God made us different for a reason. And it wasn't just the male, female, just because our body parts were different. No, it was much deeper than that. And that we had gifts and abilities. Nancy had gifts and abilities I didn't have. I had ones that she had. And I think we were missing that. We were missing what God wanted us to see, of how the two become one, and that we were stronger together than we were separate. And the more we were able to embrace that, the more I think we were able to accept our differences. Now, do some of my differences still bug her? I'm sure they do. And, but I think one of the things we've learned too, if we have an argument, we don't stay mad at each other very long. We have learned to recover quickly because we've learned the value of marriage and of each other in each other's lives. And so you're still going to have things, she still doesn't like the way I drive. She'll never like the way I drive, ever, but she has learned to just, most of the time, just sit there. And every once in a while it comes out, but it's fun. I think so much, and you referenced the scripture, Dr. Kim, about the two becoming one, and that's something that honestly probably only for me, like in the last year, like this really like clicked of, obviously there's the physical component, and that's often what people think about. But so much more, like as I think of, Michelle, you and I, there's so many things that we like truly fit perfectly together that we're different. We are so different on so many different things,
but you compliment me so well in certain areas and vice versa. And so like clearly God is having this design of like, okay, the two are going to become one and it's going to be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and
good.
embracing those differences and realizing we are stronger together. And even though at the beginning of our marriage, it would maybe drive me crazy that Ryan wouldn't respond when I was asking, we were in a disagreement, I later realized that was actually his self-control. And I now really respect that about him because he doesn't just react or blow up. He's very slow and methodic. And that is actually an act of, he's loving in that he wants to give a good response and think it through. So these things that, I was like, I was just talking. And I was like, why aren't you just saying something? Just say something. I was like poking the bear, just say something. But actually, I'm really grateful that he's totally different than me in that because it allowed it to bring down the level. And then we were able to come together and just have a conversation about the issue and get resolved. And it wasn't just, a bigger conflict than it needed to be. So just as an example of how I now embrace that, I'm really glad that he's just level and mellow. And, I appreciate that about him.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool that you saw the value in that. And what I usually see in couples, usually there's one that wants to resolve things right now, and there's one who needs to think it through. And I don't think it's a male-female thing. I see it go both ways. But I think, again, he needs to think things through. He needs a little time to cool off or whatever and learning to value that. Now, if he never came back to the conversation, that would be different. But if he needs that time and then comes back, then I think you begin to see the value. Now we're resolving things that we might not have if Ryan hadn't taken that time. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Kim, we are almost out of our time here. We're so grateful for this conversation as we talk about just things that you learned and lessons. Do you have any final recommendations for couples that are wanting to grow in their marriage?
Yeah, I think just don't forget a couple things. Guys, we would pursue really well before marriage, and so many couples I see, the guy quit pursuing once he got the ring on her finger. I think we go off to conquer everything. It doesn't mean that don't care. I think we just quit focusing on it because we have her. And I think continue to do date nights, praying together, any of those things like that will connect you. Don't miss out on doing those things because they're so important. Find common interests together. We've done that a lot. Right now, we started playing pickleball a few years ago. We play
pickleball too. We have a league that's starting the week that this airs, actually.
Yeah. Right. That's awesome. It's just grand. It's fun. It's exercise. And it's social. We have great friends we play with. And learning to listen, like I said, and finding ways to connect. Not just communication, but what else connects you? We have always loved looking at the moon at night, and especially with full moon. And so one of us will be outside or something and see the full moon and go get the other person. Finding things that you should enjoy sharing with each other. And if you start feeling negative about your spouse, that's a red flag. And what do you need to do to see who that person is in Christ, how God, one thing that I pray, Nancy and I both prayed, is help us see each other through God's eyes. Because when we do that, we see value at times when we didn't see the value. And just, I think, always knowing you can turn to God and He is going to show up. If you ask Him something, just listen because He will show up. Those are probably the main things that I think have made a difference for us consistently, and just having fun. We love to laugh. We'll sit and watch stupid videos and reels and just laugh, and don't miss out on those things. That keep doing. I tell couples all the time, the things that you loved that got you together, that got you to the altar, keep doing those things.
Yeah,
enjoy them, have fun with them.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That we did in the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts, Ryan?
Just one last thing quickly to share. And I love, Dr. Kim, what you said about taking divorce off the table. I think that's something, and in my mind, like I'm equating this to like, that old like passage of like burning the ships, right? Like there's only one way to go as forward. And I think so often that like that's been a game changer for us, I think, to realize like we're only going to go forward.
Yeah, we don't even say that word or joke about it. It's not funny.
There's going to be things that come up that are hard, but we're going to move forward. We're committed to moving forward, and kind of that like I said, we're going to burn the ships. There's no going back.
Yeah.
We're going to go forward.
Awesome. So good.
Dr. Kim, so we have the awesomemarriage.com website that we can link, the Instagram channel. You had also shared 2 resources as we chatted before we started recording. Would you mention those, and we can see if we can find links for those too?
One of them is free on our website. It's called the Weekly Marriage Check-In, and it's just where you can sit down. Most couples that I have I counsel with and through Awesome Marriage, you do it on Sunday afternoon, and you kind of look at the week ahead, so you can kind of plan, no surprises, and you can be intentional about, okay, when are we going to have time together? When is our date night this week? And it's kind of a touch-in thing. It's kind of to clear the air. Is there something that's been bugging you this week that we really haven't talked about? I think it's really valuable to get in the habit of doing that, and you start each week off fresh again. The other one, always talk about prayer, but we have a resource called Unlock True Intimacy, 9 Days to Build the Habit of Prayer in Your Marriage. It's only 9 days. If you're thinking things you heard today from all of us about the importance of prayer and you don't know where to start, this would be a great way to begin to step into that habit. And that's on the website. And then we have over 100, I don't know how many now, YouVersion plans. Most of them are marriage related. Some are for husbands, some are for wives, some are for different things. But you can always go to the YouVersion app and put in Awesome Marriage, and all our plans will come up there. And I think Ryan said earlier, that's how he found us in the past. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very, very awesome. And for our listeners not familiar with the YouVersion, it's the Bible app, but it's so much more than that. So you can look up scripture, but there's so many plans it can do by topic. So that's what we're referring to there. So Dr. Kim, thank you so much for being on our show today. This has been really valuable time for us and for our listeners. So
yeah, absolutely. Dr. Kim, thank you for...
I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
and it's just an honor to get to spend some time with you guys again, anytime.
Yeah, thank you for everything you guys are doing, and we appreciate. Obviously, like I said, you've poured into our marriage, and we thank you for that. Yeah,
and tell Nancy hello too. She's so lovely, and we'll hopefully see her another time. But tell her hello for us as well. So
I will.
So. Thank you. And thank you to our listeners for joining us. We're so proud of you for making this investment in your marriage. We want you to know that we have resources at Celebrate.church/marriage. And like we talked about today with the Awesome Marriage resources, there are so many tools available for you that we will link in our show notes from today's show. So thank you for listening and have a great week.
Have a great week.